So the dream team for the second week of the June Internationals, I've gone through and picked 15 of the best players that I think deserve to be here. I'll go through them, just outline a few of their key numbers as to why I put them there. And at the end, if a guy you think should be there is not, you can let me know in the comments. I did miss James Davis last week. For sure he should have been in the team. So appreciate the feedback. We'll see how we go this week. In the props. This guy from Ireland, Tug Furlong, was pretty much the first and most obvious choice. He scored a try, which is always going to put your foot forward for my team because I love guys who score tries. He had 13 runs for 43 metres, which is huge numbers for a guy in the front row. Beat 6 defenders, had 1 clean break. It was amazing to see him in kind of full flight. Made 4 from 4 tackles. The scrum was solid, and his work around the breakdown, there's one particular clip of him cleaning out David Pocock, which kind of shows the commitment he had to the cause. So very, very good to see him in the starting lineup because he is just top class. Next, not quite as easy a choice, but I've gone with Joe Moody. You can see a theme here, another guy who got a try. Not all that busy because he only had 1 pass and he only had 1 run. And that 1 run was a try. It was 25 metres, 1 clean break, and 1 defender beaten. So that's all within 1 run. Not bad for a guy in the front row, like I say. 7 out of 8 tackles. Did concede 2 penalties. So I'm definitely not as set on Moody as I am on Furlong. But that move that the All Blacks pulled off was pretty good. So it's kind of a large part of the reason he is here. Next, this was also a really difficult position to pick. I've gone with Bongi and Bonambi from the Springboks. 1 pass, 6 runs for 49 metres. So another guy who was very good, kind of going forward with the ball, kind of dynamic performance. 1 clean break, 1 defender beaten. Springboks lineup was at 86% overall while he was on and after with Aka van der Merwe. And he was part of that big box scrum that got the penalty try. So the 2 replacement props came on. With Bongi in the middle, and they just powered over for that penalty try. So giving him credit for that. His defensive stats were not great. So that was what I say. Hooker was a hard one to pick this week because there were some guys who had very good kind of tackle rates, but perhaps not so much action with the ball. So I've gone for the more, I guess, like I said, dynamic. So again, not like last week where there was kind of one and only candidate. It's more of just kind of, this is the best of what I think is the bunch. Next, in the second row, gone with Sam Whitelock. So in a pretty ordinary display, he was one of the better performers for the All Blacks. So 2 passes, 5 runs for 6 metres, nothing startling there. 1 defender beaten. All Blacks lineup was also at 83%, so he's a large contributor to that. 12 from 13 tackles, though, is a large part of the reason I've got him here, aside from all that kind of dirty work that he does in clean-outs and whatnot, even if some of it's a bit on the borderline of legal or illegal. 12 from 13 tackles. When you look at guys like Sam Cane made 4, Liam Squire made 6, and Luke Whitelock, his brother, who was a tackling machine, only made 10. So Sam having 12 is a very good effort from him. Busy night compared to some of the All Blacks guys. His partner in the second row, I've gone with James Ryan from Ireland. This guy, second week in a row, he's been on the board. He is just a machine. 1 pass, which is also got an offload with it. So more putting his head down because he had 12 runs for 24 metres. 12 runs for a lock's pretty busy work. 1 clean break, 2 defenders beaten, 11 from 11 tackles, and good work in the lineup. The guy just doesn't seem to get tired. I guess that's youth or just high work rate because, he must be a coach's dream with all the work that he gets through. Loose forwards, definitely the hardest of all the spots to pick. There are heaps of guys that could have been in here. I've had to narrow it down to 3. There's no Welshmen here, even though they totally dominated that game. So, sorry to Welsh supporters. I acknowledge they did have very good games. I've gone with Kevin Gaudin from France. Had a try assist, 15 passes. including 7 offloads. That's kind of a good passing rate for a fly half, let alone a number 8. 14 runs for 78 metres. 4 clean breaks, 7 defenders beaten, 10 out of 11 tackles. The guy was a monster. And a team with 14 men, this guy was trying to make up by putting in kind of a superhuman performance. Very good effort, so we'll see if he can kind of maintain that form going into the final game. If he does that kind of thing when they've got 15 men on the park, you never know what might happen. Next, gone with Dwayne Vermeulen from the Springboks. He got a try, which was pretty also kind of magnificent stuff because he had 8 runs, 46 metres, and 6 defenders beaten. A large number of those would have been when he scored the try. 2 clean breaks, 5 from 6 tackles, and also work at the breakdown. So big effort from Dwayne. You can kind of see why Rassie Erasmus came back from Europe to play in this series. Lastly, in the back row, I've gone with Peter O'Mahony from Ireland. Mega performance from him. I mean, 6 passes and an offload, 8 runs, only made 8 metres and beat 1 defender, but it was work without the ball. And it doesn't really reflect in the stats because it says he only had 3 tackles, but it was that work at the breakdown, helping to nullify what Hooper and Pocock were doing and just getting turnovers of his own. I can't remember how many he had. It was at least 3, I think, turnovers on his own. So, yeah, just really immense performance from him. Only conceded 1 penalty as well in a game which had a lot of penalties. So he was getting himself into those positions where, you know, the referees might be going to penalise you, but he was getting his rewards. So big effort. Next, scrum half. I've gone with Conor Murray, another Irishman here. 2 try assists, 112 passes, which is just ludicrous. 7 runs for 5 metres is not all that startling. 1 defender beaten, 1 out of 2 tackles, but the way he helped control the game, tactical kicking, just, yeah, top class player, one of the premier scrum halves in World Rugby for sure. Speaking of class, his buddy, I've gone with Jonathan Sexton. 2 conversions, 4 penalties, 43 passes, which is a lot for a fly half, but I guess that reflects how much ball they had. 10 runs, 5 defenders beaten, 14 metres run. Again, just the way they controlled the game between the 2 of them. I mean, I like Joey Carberry, and I do believe he needs more game time, but it is hard to leave out Jonathan Sexton. Midfield. I've gone for Damien Delende from the Springboks. 6 passes, 1 offload, 16 runs for 113 metres, which is a pretty good return, although part of that was an intercept that he got and he went a lot of metres. 6 defenders beaten, 8 out of 9 tackles, and a clean break, which was probably the intercept. So, yeah, good all-round performance, although I must say I would still like to see Esterhuizen in at 12 for a change. Even though I've got him in the team here, I feel like Esterhuizen can also add something, so it'd be nice to see for Game 3, but I guess we'll wait and see. Next, his partner, I've gone with Owen Watkin from Wales. So 4 passes, 11 runs, 26 metres is kind of not that startling. 2 defenders beaten, but 13 out of 14 tackles. So helped really nullify what Argentina were throwing at them. In terms of backs, 13 tackles I think was second tackler of the round. So just, yeah, another big performance defensively from Wales. They cut through when they needed to, and it was really a performance built on a lot of that D, and he was a big part of that. Outside backs. Johnny May from England, 1 try assist, 10 runs for 112 metres, 3 clean breaks, 3 defenders beaten, 3 out of 4 tackles. The guy's got gas. Didn't see as much ball in the latter stages of the game, but at the start, he was cutting things up. So, yeah, we'll see how England go for their third game. They can certainly get the first 20 minutes, right? But after that, it doesn't seem to go all that well. Next, Josh Adams from Wales. 1 try, which was just an absolute bit of magic. He kind of had no rights to score that try, but just cut straight through. If you haven't seen it, go watch the highlights. 6 runs, 73 metres, 1 clean break, which would have been the try. 4 defenders beaten, made 6 out of 8 tackles, which for an outside back's pretty solid. And yeah, just an overall good move from him. That's what Wales were doing, just defending, chipping away with penalties, and just that bit of magic when needed to really push the score out. And lastly, going with Batista Delgui from Argentina. Argentina's performance was ugly. It was really not all that pretty, but Delgui was one of the few guys to really put his hand up. So 1 try, 10 runs, no passes. So he only had one thing in mind. 90 metres, 2 clean breaks, 2 defenders beaten, made 2 from 2 tackles. His handling wasn't perfect all the time, but none of the Argentinian guys had the best hands that night. But in terms of a guy who only in a second test, I thought he played pretty well. So we'll see how his career develops as well. So yeah, that's the team. As I said, there's always guys that missed out, especially in the back row. That was really one to kind of agonize over. Some positions, there wasn't a clear favourite. Like I don't think Hooker had one that was especially outstanding. The midfield, it did take me a while to kind of settle on. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts, who you think should be here. And we've still got 1 round to go for the June test, so we'll see how they go next week. We'll see Scotland in action for that one as well. I should mention none of the players from the Scotland-USA game here, or the Italy-Japan game, or Georgia against Fiji. Yeah, I only had time to watch these 4 games, so these are the games I'm going with. But yeah, like I said, next week we've got Scotland as well, so we'll see how they can pick themselves up. Alright guys, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.